More Americans than ever are looking to move overseas for lower taxes, lower cost of living, just to get away from the chaos. Today, I'm going to react to one well-known commentator's top 10 places to move. Here's Bill O'Reilly, formerly of Fox News, best places to live outside of the United States.
All right, have you had enough? A lot of people are going to say, maybe I should move to another country. So there is a survey from InterNations, 12,065 Americans living abroad. Now, okay, where are the top 10 places for expats? Here they are. Mexico.
All right, here's the list.
Okay, 90% of expats enjoy living in Mexico.
So this is a list from InterNations. This is an expat community. Keep in mind, InterNations, good source of information, different from Nomad Capitalist. We're talking to 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors. Those are the clients that we help move overseas, reduce their taxes, structure their business. And yet Mexico is one that's transcendent. So I told you when Trump was running for president years ago, people were threatening to move to Canada as they are often want to do. I said, why not Mexico? Better weather, better food. People are trending in the right direction. And so now Mexico's been this very transcendent place. So what I've said is good culture. You know, even though the language is different, the culture is similar. People are afraid of culture shock. I mean, if you go to Asia, even if they speak the same language, there's going to be some things they do differently. And so Mexico, pretty similar culture, which is why, historically the people from Mexico are coming, pretty similar.
One of the most corrupt countries on the face of the earth.
No more corrupt than a place where it costs a couple $1 billion to be elected president, where there's the high-level corruption versus low-level corruption.
If you go there, you better have armed security.
Armed security, right. In Polanco or Lomas of Mexico City. Absolutely. I've always spent a lot of time there. Only hosted Nomad Capitalist Live there twice. Yeah, there's places. Nomad Dad spends half of his year there. As with anywhere you go, you will recreate the experience in your home country, in that new country. If you live in the most beautiful, gated community suburb, you're going to find that where you go, if that's what you want. So Bill O'Reilly cannot live in Mexico, but a lot of people, yes, 90% of people who move there love it, including the Nomad Dad.
Number 2, Spain, España. It's hot. Nice country. People are good.
They're all good. Was it 80 million? They're all good. They're all good. Yeah, I'll tell you, over on the Nomad Capitalist R&D channel, they're big fans of Spain because of the improved tax exemption, especially if you have any Latin American heritage. That could be an interesting place to go and get citizenship. But Spain, the number one country for clients who say, my wife will move overseas, but only if we move to Spain. So it's good that the tax exemption has become a bit more intriguing. It's not a long-term tax exemption. At least you can get your feet wet. So guys, if you're looking to get out and lower your taxes, at least some, and lower your cost of living, enjoy life a bit more, yeah, Spain could work. And hopefully in those years that you're there, you can convince the family to look a bit further afield.
3rd, Panama. Why on earth would anybody live in that humidity in Panama? I would die after 3 days.
I will agree. Panama, I'm a city guy. Panama City never blew me away. I find I happen to spend time in Bogota. I have a home there. I think it's a far more vibrant city than Panama City and far more affordable for what that's worth. I mean, Panama City is, in many ways, U.S. prices because it is dollarized effectively. And yet people do like to live in places like Boquete. I mean, there's places to live in Panama. It's for people who like the same time zone, for people who like a certain standard. I mean, I think Panama City and other places are safer and more developed than the rest of Central America. So for whatever reason you don't like Mexico, Panama is a very tax-friendly place to move. It's pretty straightforward to get residence there. It's been a destination for retirees for a long time. And yeah, some people like it hot, Bill.
Malaysia. I have been there.
Oh, Mazel tov.
Muslim country. Nothing like the USA.
What? I actually think that I said about Malaysia when I first went there a long, long time ago. It's been my longest running base. I said this is like the United States of Asia without the problems of the US in large part, but with some of the good parts. multicultural country. People get along for the most part. Friendly people, speaks English. Like, just to me, if you like car culture, people drive cars there. And that's, you can own a home. A lot of people own what they call landed properties, a home with a yard. You can own property. A lot of countries in Asia, you can't do that. You can actually own a home with land. I have an acquaintance who's building a home in a pretty close-in suburb. Bought land, building a home. And to say it's nothing like the US, sure, Asian culture, saving face, all that kind of stuff, it's going to be a bit of an adjustment. I think a lot of people go there at first, they take it as just people are being very nice. I think people are very friendly and kind there, which is important, more so than the US. And that way, maybe it's not like the US in a good way. But to me, the adjustment is not that big. The Nomad Dad is a retiree. He says, I think Kuala Lumpur is better than a number of cities in the United States. He gets around, he talks to people, he gets his coffee. By the way, we host Nomad Capitalist Live, our annual event there. Had about 800 people there this year. Didn't really hear anybody saying that Malaysia is super convoluted. I think it's one of the places that is the most close to Western culture without being Western.
Cheap to live there. I don't know how you would go there, though.
On a plane. This is the thing some people, they ask us about Nomad Capitalist Live, and they say, oh, when's the event coming back to Mexico? It's not coming back to Mexico, at least in the foreseeable future, for a number of reasons. How do I get to Malaysia? You buy a plane ticket and you come there. And once you're on the plane, the time flies.
Taiwan. Right. One of the worst places I've ever been in my life is Taiwan.
What?
Jammed island, dirty, polluted, nobody speaks English.
What? Was this guy going there in 1952? Now, this is again as InterNations, so this is expats with a focus on people who have a job. I don't know that we've had any clients go to Taiwan. We have had people who have Taiwanese ancestry claim or reclaim Taiwanese citizenship, perhaps in conjunction with I don't want to be an American anymore. All the Taiwanese origin folks we've had are generally Americans. So there's that. Getting a citizenship doesn't mean you have to live there. It would not be in the top of my list. I think a Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia is better. But Taiwan, very developed place. And if you have a job, the salaries there aren't as high as you might think for how developed it is, because I know we've had clients who've said they're hiring people there at very, very affordable prices. This is a place that I would say is more for you have a job. The immigration routes for the entrepreneurs and investors are more involved than you'd find in some of the Southeast Asian countries. But I think Taiwan is perfectly a livable place.
They don't like you. Why? Thailand, better. Beautiful country, corrupt.
What is this fascination with corruption? The United States must be the most corrupt country on earth. You just don't see it. Is the standard what does Bill see, or what do you see, or is it what is actually corrupt? Okay.
You can live there very inexpensively.
Not as much as Kuala Lumpur, by the way, not as much as other places. Thailand real estate has become, particularly in Bangkok, really expensive. There's places in major cities in Europe that are cheaper than Bangkok. We're filming Live Like a King in Bangkok. Real estate ain't cheap. That's why a place like Malaysia is a bargain in comparison with the English and the development and everything that they're doing in Malaysia. But sure, the rest of Thailand is affordable. Everything's corrupt and dangerous to these Americans. I've been in Bangkok, never had an issue.
Costa Rica, same thing, okay? Beautiful country. A lot of narcotics coming into San Jose.
Okay. Nobody in their right mind is going to San Jose. It's a hellhole. No one's going to any. Outside of Panama City and Mexico City, if you want to count that in Central America, I wouldn't. So outside of Panama City, you don't live in any capital in Central America. Here's what's dangerous. Managua, got a gun in my face in Managua. Tegucigalpa, Honduras, don't go there. But you can live in Roatan, Honduras, you can live in San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua, and you can live in much of Costa Rica. I never understand this thing about all the narcotics. By the way, thank the drug war in the US, they used to fly it in, right? Nobody was bothered. Then they shut that down and they pushed it through Central America. So maybe thank your own government for that one, Bill. Everyone's taking the drugs in the US now. I never understood, why is the US such a safe place when everyone's getting the drugs? Everyone's taking the fentanyl. I don't understand. You're just minding your own business in Costa Rica. I think generally speaking, you'll be fine. El Salvador cleaned up its act. Not statistically the safest part of the world, but Costa Rica is right up there. It is the outlier in that region. But again, you're not going to move to a hellscape in Costa Rica. You will move to a beautiful beach next to Giselle.
Not safe in that city.
Crazy.
Philippines, I have not been there, but I know people who live there. That is the most inexpensive place you can live if you're an American on Social Security or whatever it may be.
I think there's probably cheaper places. The Philippines is cheap. You've seen Asian currencies go up against the dollar in recent months. I mean, okay, you can live in Pakistan, you can live in India. Even we've shown places like in Colombia and Turkey are cheaper. The Philippines is not the cheapest place to live. Now, do they speak English? Yes. Are they very welcoming? Yes. They like Americans. That's positive. That is a place we don't talk about as much in Southeast Asia. Very good immigration programs, tax-friendly, good place to go as a retiree if you want that. Not as developed, in my opinion, as a Malaysia or a Thailand. But if you like that culture and that resonates with you, then you go to the Philippines.
Can live very well in the Philippines for not much money.
You live very well a lot of places, by the way.
Bahrain, not been there, but I've been to their cousin, Kuwait. There's nothing on earth that could get me to move to Bahrain.
Okay, Kuwait is perhaps the most boring country in the Middle East, no doubt. Bahrain is one of the more liberal countries in the Middle East. Now, Dubai obviously is opened up and people go there for liberal living. But for people who want something a bit more subdued and they don't want to be in the Emirates, Bahrain is, I wouldn't call it the most exciting place in the world, but you can be left alone. You can have a good tax situation. I get it that the UAE is pretty competitive in terms of lifestyle and that those other countries get overshadowed. Let's not compare Bahrain to Kuwait. Good real estate residence program, and I would argue, by the way, maybe a place you want to toehold for banking and investment, just to have that as an option. And you could always live there if you had to.
Portugal, number 10, nice country. Very, very calm, nice, under control.
Under control. All right. Portugal canceled the tax exemption, so fewer people going there. But Bill O'Reilly suggests Portugal's okay in his mind. What about they decriminalized the drugs, Bill? What about the drug-filled dens? No, we like Portugal. Immigration office a little slow these days. But it's a place to go. I have the Golden Visa program. So, Bill approves.
If you want to live abroad, here's what you check out. If you're like me.
Here's from Bill O'Reilly.
Ireland, Switzerland, Portugal.
Ireland, Switzerland, Portugal. Ireland, one of the most expensive housing markets in the world. And so if you're the 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur that we talk to, be open to that. Good place to get a passport. You speak the language. People are similar. But maybe it's too similar to the U.S. Maybe you're looking to get away from that culture. Maybe you want to be a little bit different. Switzerland, expensive place, not impressed by Americans. Portugal, nice place. A lot of nice places though. And we've talked about if you want to leave California, where can you go? From Portugal to Malta to parts of Cyprus to Chile. There's countries all over the world that have aspects of, let's say, what California has to offer. So the reality is there's 252 countries and territories out there. You can find one that works for you. That's what we help our clients do, is go through all the options, match up your lifestyle, how much tax you're willing to pay, personal freedoms are important to you. Yeah, for folks who are a bit more, liberal in the U.S., a place like Portugal works. A lot of European countries work because some of the more conservative politics in the U.S., don't exist in those countries when it comes to social policies. So, those are all things that have to be considered. Go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply and learn how you can work with us, because we actually live around the world. I know Bill O'Reilly did travel around the world for many years as a reporter before Fox News, but I don't know how much I'd be listening to Bill O'Reilly where to move. The guy lives in New York. It'd almost be like going to one of those guys' conferences where they tell you how to escape the United States from the safety of Austin, Texas. We host Nomad Capitalist live in Kuala Lumpur because you should come and see why it's a great place to live. And if you really want to leave the U.S., you should probably, at least for 4 days, leave the U.S.
Got to spend a month in each.
That I agree with. One thing you can do is you can make a list of 5 or 6 places that are of interest to you, or fewer if you don't have as many, and do as I did. You do a tour, and I committed to 1 month in each. Now, if you want to make it longer, you like the slower travel, do that. But give yourself some window of time where if you don't like any of them, you can go back home. Maybe you've saved some money on taxes in that period, depending on how long it is. Just by being out, you could save some money. But yeah, go and check it out. Or you can just commit to one for a year and then decide if you like it or not. There's 2 ways to skin that cat. But I would argue that you're going to find that some of the places that seem less obvious might actually be the winners. I mean, Switzerland, we had a billionaire client once, and he looked at me and said, I went to the Big Four, and part of their report was, have you heard about Switzerland? He's like, yeah, I'm a billionaire. I've heard of Switzerland. Thank you. He said, I think that Nomad Capitalist is great because you guys talk about places that aren't as much on the radar. I found that some of the places that are a bit more up and coming actually have more of the lifestyle elements that an American would want to go to. Because you want to get away from some of the craziness of the Western world, not just recreate it somewhere else. The reality is there are no top 3. I like Malaysia. Don't like Panama as much, but you might like Panama. So any of these lists should be taken as a starting point and then matched with actually what are all of your criteria. That's what we do, I think, better than anybody else.